say all the boys that are visiting over here, Beruchim Habayim, and great to see all of you.
Thank you, Rabbi Lidiano. It's always a tremendous honor and a zechut to be here with Lev Aharon, to speak over here. Whenever I come here, I feel the energy in the place. I feel the love here, the love the rabbis have for the boys, the love the boys have for the rabbis, the love to study Torah. Everybody here is looking to grow. Everybody here is looking to be real. That's something very, very unique and something very special. And you should be proud of it. And I have a lot of experience with Lev Aharon boys from all the years that I've been in the business of Chinuch. And we've seen tremendous products come out of here. And Baruch Hashem, we have 5 students from Harari's over here in Lev Aharon that are doing phenomenal. So Baruch Hashem, it's a great honor to be here, a great zechut, and I want to spend a few minutes with you, okay? So let's try to talk about something. I know these days are Yemei Shovavim. These are days that we're all trying to become more holy. Unbelievable Hizukim that are going on. And I heard that in this yeshiva, one boy came over to me and says, you know, Rabbi, I got a kosher phone, and since I got the phone, I started to hear your iPad and your iClass, whatever they call it, the podcast. So it's a beautiful thing. So I know that that's the spirit of the moment. Everybody's into the Divrei Hizuk. So I want to try to say a little deep thing on that subject, if you don't mind. Okay? But I have to establish some very important fundamental principles in order for you to understand what I'm trying to teach you. Because I don't want it to be that you come into Yemei Shovavim for X amount of weeks, you try to hold back from all the different things that you were doing before, and then when the time passes, you go back to business as usual. It's a beautiful thing. Every moment that a person controls himself is massive, without a question. But we want to try to make growth that we can continue with it. And to truly continue with the growth, you have to understand the sugya. You know what a sugya is, right? Rabbi Amma, my old friend, you know, he told me it's okay if I say a few Yiddish words in it.
Sugya is Yiddish?
Sugya. We're warming up, okay? So really, if a person wants to work on himself, he's got to understand what's happening to him. Why is he drawn to all these things? Why is the struggle so difficult? And when you get to the root of the problem, then you begin to find the way, the mahalach, how to get out of the problem. Because right now, we just know the reality. We know that we've drawn tremendously, a Mashiach, pulled towards arayot and these type of things. Shemirat Einayim is very difficult. To control our thoughts are very difficult. This is the world we live in. This is a reality that we know exists. We also know that it's not the right thing. And at the same time, we're trying to fight a force of nature which we have. And it's very difficult to fight a force of nature. So even if you can control yourself for X amount of time, but eventually the force of nature is going to push through, you're not going to win. So unless we truly understand why we're being pulled to this, what the Torah wants from us, and how to deal with the problem, we're never going to fix the problem. So we want to try to fix the problem. Obviously, something so complex as this, which is something that pulls the entire world, not just us, the entire world is pulled by this. It's a force of nature, which is a massive force of nature. And the Torah has something to say about it. Obviously, it's a massive subject, so I don't know how much we can do today, but at least I want to try to give you something that you can walk away with, that you can think about. Okay? The first thing is we have to know, the human being, as a human, this has nothing to do with levels of religiosity. The human being needs to feel pleasure. The whole Olam Haba is pleasure. L'hit'aneg al Hashem. Pleasure. The human being is designed to feel pleasure and to feel that he has a purpose in life. And he has to feel good. He needs vitality. A human being is not a robot. And the religion is not a religion that constipates your emotions and feelings. People think that way. The Torah is full with being in touch with the emotions and the feelings and the passions and the desires and the pleasure, because that's the way the human being was designed, on purpose like that. Okay, that you have to get that clear. And the Torah wants you to experience pleasure. The Torah wants you to experience love. The Torah wants you to experience intimacy. The Torah wants you to experience everything. But to have a mahalach, how to get it. And the world has a mahalach, how to get it. That means what we have going on right here is a mahloket. Okay? You know what a mahloket is. You learn Gemara, right? So if you're learning Masechet Bava Kama, and I'm learning Masechet Gitin, we can't have a machlokes, because I'm not in your sugya and you're not in my sugya. So it's not a machlokes. So how do we have a machlokes? If you're learning Bava Kama, I'm learning Bava Kama, we're learning the same page of Bava Kama, we're learning the same toises in Bava Kama, and you have one mahalach in the pshat and I have the other mahalach, then we have a fight. So if there's always a milchama between Tov and Ra, the way the creation was created, that there is always a fight between good and evil. If they're fighting, that means they're fighting about the same thing. But at first glance, it doesn't look like they're fighting about the same thing. Yetzer Tov says go learn Gemara. Yetzer Hara says go to the club. They're in two different sugyas. He's in the club and he's in the Gemara. That's not a machlokes. It's not a fight. I have my way of life, you have your way of life. And I'm a good liberal, I'm happy with you, you're happy with me, we can all get along, and it's all good. Where's there a fight going on? Where's there a mulchama? You have a mulchama between the Yetzer Tov and Yetzer Hara, that means they got to be talking about the same sugya. So what's the sugya? The sugya is pleasure. A human being was designed to get pleasure. Now Yetzer Hara says, this is the mahalach and the sugya. And the Yetzer Tov says, no, this is the mahalach and the sugya. Now, how do we know that a human being is designed to get pleasure? I'm talking about the most spiritual human being. I'm not talking about the regular guy like me. I don't know about you, but about me. I'm talking about the most spiritual human being. So if you ever learn Mesilat Yesharim, I know your Rabbi Abitzel, my childhood friend, put out a phenomenal book on Mesilat Yesharim, and he told me that the boys have been learning it a lot. If you remember, in the Mesilat Yesharim, he talks about the neshama, talks about your soul. The soul comes from heaven. Chelek Elokai Mimah. The spiritual part of yourself, the spiritual layer of yourself, comes into your body. Your body is the physical layer of yourself. Now let's just talk about that a second. A person is made up of two parts. He has the spiritual part of himself, he has the neshama, which is the source of all his desires to do good, all the spirituality, and he's put into a body. And the body is searching for pleasure and fun and excitement and action and whatever, you name it. So they're on two different programs, these two guys. The Neshama and the Guf, they're on two different programs. The job of the human being is to make a marriage between the body and the soul. That eventually, the body becomes the way that the soul manifests itself, through the body. Okay, that's the idea. But at first, the neshama comes into a body. Now the Mesilat Yesharim has a question. Why does Hashem bring a neshama to this world? For what reason? What do you have to give you a piece of heaven for? What's the point? On the contrary, the neshama doesn't appreciate steak and French fries. He don't appreciate the pleasures of this world. He doesn't appreciate it. And then Mesilat Yesharim gives us a mashal, a parable to understand it. So he says, imagine you have a princess who lives in the palace. She lives in the lap of luxury. She has the finest food. She has the finest everything. Unbelievable. Her clothing is top of the line. Her bedding, she has servants, she has everything. She's living it up. Gashmi is to the max. Somehow, in a strange way, she goes and she falls in love with a guy who's a farmer. You know, one of those guys, you know, they eat grits. The guy's making whiskey in his bathtub. One of those kind of guys, you know? You find him in Jersey. Okay? Lives in a trailer park somewhere. Okay, so now she goes and she marries this guy. Now, she's going to his house for the first time, princess. And this new husband, you know, he's really excited. He wants to make his wife feel good. Shovavim, you know. He wants to make her feel real good. So he goes and he makes his best brew in the bathtub. He got special grits. He even had a guy sew up a new mattress made out of straw, special for his wife, and he's rolling, you know. She walks into this trailer, and the first thing is she starts to cry. He's like, honey, what's the matter? I painted the place for you. I made it beautiful. And then he says, you know, maybe you just want a drink. Let me get you one of my whiskeys from my bathtub. And then she's crying even more, you know. And then, okay, I'm going to make you my best dish. She's crying even more. Because every time he tries to give her a little pleasure, she remembers what it was in her father's house. What it's like in the palace. You give me a drink, I said, this is not a fine champagne. This is not an expensive wine. It's not an expensive whiskey. What are you giving me? And the more pleasure that this guy tries to give his wife, it's making her more depressed and more depressed. Because she's looking for the real pleasure. Good? So that's what he says in his marshal. So now, I don't understand. I don't understand the marshal. Because the princess wants pleasure. She wants the pleasure of fine wines. She wants the pleasure of good food, gourmet food. She wants the pleasure of sleeping on a water mattress. She has ideas and concepts of pleasure. The guy is trying to give her pleasure, but he's giving her pleasure that's like very coarse and very low. That's the two types of pleasure. Great pleasure and less pleasure. But when you talk about the neshama, the Mesilas Yesharim said, neshama, what does he want pleasure for? The neshama doesn't want pleasure. The body wants pleasure. So the way the Mesilas Yesharim should say, you know why the neshama doesn't like this world? Because this world is full of pleasure. He don't want pleasure, he wants a Gemara. He wants spirituality. He wants holiness. He doesn't want pleasure. What are you giving me pleasure for? So what does it say in the Mesilas Yesharim? The neshama is searching for pleasure too. It's just you're giving him a rusty version of it. You're giving him grits. You're giving him, stuff that work for rednecks. Not stuff that work for something that's a bat melech. So you see this? When we come into the world, we're searching for pleasure. The soul is searching for pleasure. The body's searching for pleasure. They're both searching for pleasure. But we're trying to feed the basic need of a human being in the wrong goods. That's what's going on. But we both want it. But we're feeding it the wrong goods. And this is something that we have to get clear. Because the Torah is not trying to deny us from the pleasure. It's not even trying to deny us from the pleasure of the body either. But when the pleasure of the body is serving Avodat Hashem, then your soul will feel good about that. They have to be on the same program. When they're on the same program, then it feels good. The Torah also wants you to enjoy life. But it's teaching you how to do it in a way that works, in a way that's stable, in a way that's deep, in a way that's real. So the structure of religion is not to rob your emotion or your feeling. The structure is to help you have the path through which you can truly experience it in a way that's truly fulfilling. That's what the Torah wants. But I want to go one step deeper, okay? Let's just try to get one step deeper. A pleasure only comes through attachment. Okay, so I want you to understand that. That means if I want to experience pleasure, even in desires, I have a dimyan, I have something in my fantasy. I have something that I want to develop into something. It has to manifest itself. That can only come through an attachment. Attachment. When I attach myself to something and I develop through that, that's when I experience the pleasure. For example, let's just take an example for a second. Let's have a kid, and I got a lot of talent, and I got a lot of abilities. And if I went to business, I could be truly successful. I could be a good salesman. I'm very smart in organization skills, working with people. I can delegate authority. I know how to do these things. Naturally, I have that in me. So if I sit on my couch and I watch television all day and eat potato chips, then all that great potential is going nowhere, and I don't feel good about myself. It's a waste of potential. But when a guy goes into business and he puts energy into it, and he attaches himself to what he's doing, then through the development of his company, he's also developing self. There's an attachment between the human being and the thing that he developed. That's his malchus. That's what he developed himself into. That is where he flourished. And that's why he feels good. Because when you accomplish something, when you build something, then it represents your whole self. You develop yourself with the potential to the actual. So attaching to something is what develops you. You need to develop yourself. And that's what makes you feel good. Now, a person thinks in his mind, and when it comes to arayot, so he has a certain fantasy of what kind of situation would bring out his fantasy, and that would be the experience of a lifetime. So it has to manifest itself. It doesn't have to stay in the brain. It has to manifest itself. So he needs to find some situation or some person that he could feel, that he could be able to attach to in order to develop that. So the only way for a person to truly feel accomplished, he can feel like a person, what his identity is, bring out his feelings and emotions, he has to attach to something. You can sit in your room and dream all day and all night. It's not going to do nothing for you. Attachment. And the same thing applies in spirituality. If a person puts his energy into learning, into studying, into developing his character, whatever it is, that he's putting he's a mashpia. He's mashpia into his learning, into his growth. Then he attaches to something. When you attach to something, that's where you grow, that's where you develop. And that's the tainug. Pleasure comes from attachment. That's what marriage is. When a person, you go to a guy's house, and then you see on the door it says, Mishpachat Harari. It's not for the mailman. So what's it for? Mishpachat Harari. You walk in this door, you're walking into Harari's world. Because everybody's home is their world. That's the manifestation of self. That's where they develop themselves. Through the marriage, through the wife, through the kids, they created something. That's the manifestation of the person. You walk inside, you see his world. And that's attachment. Now, so we have two parts to ourselves. Get that clear. You following? Is good? Because I don't want to get too out there. I want you to get that clear. The purpose is that you should grow from it. You have two parts to yourself, like we said before. You have your soul, and you have your body. When they're not on the same team, each one is trying to develop self. So the Yetzer Hara gives you attachments, things to attach to, that will develop your external body, develop your external kohot, your external desires. And he will give you in front of your mind's eye called tziyur. Tziyur means like an image. This is what life is. This is success. This is how you're going to feel good. This is how you're going to be a person. This is how you're going to be a somebody. This is how you're going to be unique. This is going to be your identity. This is going to be you. You envision it. You envision it, attach it, and it'll develop your external part of your body. But your soul is trapped. Nothing you can do. The Yetzer Tov comes to you, and he tells you, I'm going to show you how to use the world to develop yourself, your true self. And then your attachments will help develop your true self, but it will manifest itself in your body, in your life. It'll come out in your marriage, it'll come out with your kids, it'll come out in life. So the attachment is the key thing in life, which makes a person feel good. If a person, let's say, plays stocks, or he plays blackjack, whatever it is, he does casinos on the phones, yeah? Even if he makes money, nobody wins the house at the end. But even if he makes money, and he has a thrill, because the rush, it gives him a thrill, and he actually makes money, this person is never, ever, ever going to be happy in life. Ever. Because there's zero attachment, there's zero development. It's a game. You just know how to play the game. You played the game and you got a score and you feel good. Feel good game. That's a dimyan. That's called fantasy because it's true. They call it fantasy football for a reason, right? So it's true. It felt good for a minute. It's true. You had money in your pocket. It's true. But it's a fantasy because it came through no attachment whatsoever. You didn't invest in it. There's no mashpia makabel. You didn't become one with it. When you build a company, you feel good because you worked for a living. And the reason why Hashem made it that way is because He wants a person to be osek and be yeshuvo shel olam. He wants it to be osek be yeshuvo shel olam. Build the world. Be beneficial to society. Create the world. And by interacting, that's how you feel like a person. And of course, the more you do things that are meaningful and purposeful, the better you feel. So if I go down the street and I look at a girl and I felt good from it, pleasure, that was just a fake thing. I felt pleasure. There's no attachment. There's no reality there. There's no investment there. There's no development of a house. There's nothing there. So the first thing you have to know when you're walking into Shovavim is that you're built a certain way you can't fight your nature. Impossible to fight the nature that Hashem gave you. And Hashem gave you that you should feel pleasure from attachment for a reason. Because He wants us to attach to learning. He wants to attach to Him. He wants you to attach to your wife. He wants you to build the world. He wants something from you. He's giving you structure to help you. And if you follow the structure of Torah, then you will experience in a true, long-lasting, real, internal, deep way the pleasures that the world has to offer. As opposed to the fake version. The minute, the score, the quick hit, that type of fake pleasure, that's not going to last. And eventually you're a human being, you're going to be depressed eventually. Because you weren't built for that. And we have to know that. Liberals say, listen, Torah, religion, emotionally constipated. I go to the wedding. I see a nice girl. She looks good to me. I have feelings. And I want to express my feelings. I go up to the girl, say hello, have a conversation, see how it goes, vibe with her a little bit. And then the rabbi comes over and he says, can't do that. But it's my feelings. What should I do? That's how I feel. Constipate them. Hold them down. Everything you want to do, they'll let you do. So you start to feel like, what's this religion? We want to be liberal. We want to follow my feelings, my emotions. What's the problem? So let me ask you, Mr. Liberal. You ever saw a guitar? I'm sure you did. They got these strings, they're really tight, really tight strings. I said to the liberal, the poor string. the guy is so tied down. He can't move. Let him express himself, Let him just be him. Cut him up a little bit, go in the wind, blow in the wind, and then, be geschmack. It's not going to make one bit of music, right? So you see that the structure is what helps it develop and bring out the beauty of itself. That's what the Torah wants from you too. The structure is to develop your beauty, your uniqueness, your specialness. Because you can only have attachment if you know who you are. Because attachment by definition is very personal and very intimate. So when you develop yourself, and through self-development you're able to have a real attachment, something real. And you have a purpose. You're building a house, a Bayit Ne'eman B'Yisrael. You have a platform that's consistent, that's real, that you can attach to. Then you'll feel pleasure. Because if it's only an external relationship, and you're not living for a higher purpose, so today she looks good to you, tomorrow she doesn't. Today I'm in the mood, tomorrow I'm not. That's not a stable relationship. What is that? Torah wants stability. Stability only comes because we have a platform that's a higher purpose. Of building Am Yisrael. A place of Hashra'at HaShekhinah. Only from that, when we have a common goal together to build, to bring the Shabbat to the world, to make Kiddush Hashem. When we have such a platform to work together, that's real. And that's the most pleasurable thing in the world. Because it's true attachment. It's tainuk. And you build for tainuk. So again, there's a lot to think about it. There's a lot of new ideas to think about it. But we have to slowly learn to develop ourselves, have a sense of purpose. Every single Jewish person, there's a reason why you're in this planet. We don't need another guy in the world to eat more steaks, You weren't created so we could have another guy eating steaks. What do we need you for? That means there's a certain uniqueness that you have. A uniqueness. You have a mission. You have a tafkid. You have a purpose. How are you going to develop your purpose? You have to attach to Torah. When you attach to Torah, you develop your purpose. When you attach to the woman that's going to build a home of Israel together with you, you're going to develop your purpose. And when you develop your purpose, that makes you feel good. A, from the attachment, and B, because you did what a human being was designed to do. So we live in a world that it's about excitement, about pleasure, about a score, about a high, about this, about that, making money. We're not about working for money anymore. Today, the most attractive thing for a guy who leaves yeshiva, cash advance. What's cash advance going to do for you? Besides if you're scamming, not scamming, whatever. But even if you're not scamming, what exactly is cash advance going to do for you? You're going to support your family for the rest of your life with cash advance? No, only if you own the cash advance business. But all you're going to have is a bunch of 18, 19, 20-year-old kids who want to make a quick buck work for you, and then what? How are you going to support your family when you got 5 kids? You don't know one thing about business. You don't know what it takes, the tolerance and the patience and what it takes to build a business. You know nothing about economy. You did nothing. You're attached to nothing. You just want a quick way to make money so you can have money to spend, so you can go out and party with your friends. That's not a life, I promise you. Forget about religion. That's a road to depression and to nothing. We have to learn how to develop real attachments and real pleasure because the body wants it, your soul wants it, everybody wants it. But you got to learn how to do it. That's what you're here for. You're here to learn how to live life the way Hashem wants you to live life. And Be'ezrat Hashem, you should continue to grow. Would love to spend more time with you, but I got to get to Rabbi Gamliel.
One question.
Yes, Rabbi.
So what would be wrong if a guy says he wants to manifest his future with building a real business? Not a case event, he wants to get a job.
That's an excellent question. I was going to discuss that, but it's a subject. So now, Frekt Rabbi Luniano. You know what Frekt means? Rabbi Luniano asks a kasha. According to what I just said, that true attachment makes pleasure. So let's say a guy says, you know what? Rabbi, that was a great speech. No more fake stuff. No more cash advance. No more, on the gambling. None of that stuff. I'll see you later. I'm going to go make a business. Right? and I'm going to work hard, and I'm going to make a business. And you know what? You'll probably be happy because you made a business, and you'll feel good. But inside of yourself is a neshama. Remember that in the Silah Yeshari. Inside of yourself is a neshama who, when you're developing your external self, that's nothing to do with your neshama, and the neshama is starving. I once saw a great rabbi, Rabbi. He says, I have people coming to me with problems, and these are successful people, and they're dealing with depression and this and that and that and this. He says, because it's true, they're building their external self. But a Jew has a neshama, and the neshama is starving. He also wants to express himself. So therefore, even a Jewish person who goes to work, what's work for him? A platform for emunah, and a platform for being honest. A Jewish person's business is not only developing his external self, the Jewish person's business is developing his internal self, where he has to control his desire for money. He has to be able to be able to give charity. He has to be able to have emunah. He has to be able to go pray in the middle of the day. He has to be able to learn 2 hours in the morning or night. Now, that is not easy. You know why? Because when you go into the work world, money is like God. You understand? They say, in God we trust. It means dollar. In God we trust. That's money, fame, power, right? So you're a young yeshiva guy. You have, your titles are still very high, you know. You're not so mature and worked out. And you leave yeshiva when you're 18, 19, you say, you know what, I'm going to go to work. You will be swallowed up in 5 minutes. So there's a certain amount of learning that you need to do. There's a certain amount of building that you need to do. And then, when a person goes to work, when the time comes, he's developed to be able to do that avodah. Not everybody's built for that. You know, I saw a guy in yeshiva by me once. Guy was gassing around, you know. I'm like, what are you doing? Like, what are you doing? He said, listen, Rabbi, I'm not going to be a Rosh Yeshiva. I'm not going to be a Maggid Shem. I'm not going to be a rabbi. I'm going to go to work. So, okay, I'm going to work anyway. And I'm saying, you're sitting here figuring out the big, small, how you look at, I'm not going to work, you know? So I said, let me tell you something. Let me ask you a question. Yaakov Avinu, before he went to work, Bet Lavan, he went 14 years, Shem Be'emet, to learn. And he studied, he didn't go to sleep in the bed. It means if he had to put his head down, he put on the stender. 24/7 learning. I said, I don't understand. Memoniv stuff. You know what memoniv stuff is? If you're chayiv to do that, and if you don't do that, it's called bitul Torah. So why did he do that when he learned by his father's house? And if it's not a necessary thing, that means a human being needs to sleep in a bed, and it's not called bitul Torah. So why did he do that in Bet Lavan? Memoniv stuff. If it's something that the human being has to exert himself on that great level, he has to exert himself to the point where he doesn't sleep in a bed, and if he sleeps in a bed, it's bitul Torah, then he should have done it in his father's house. And if it's something that you shouldn't do because you got to rest, so then don't do it here. I said, because when he was by his father's house, he was going to learn his whole life. So you grow, learning your whole life, sleep in a bed. But now he's going to work. He's going to the world, Bet Lavan world. If you go into the Bet Lavan world, you got to be built like you've never seen before. And to build yourself like you've never seen before, you got to exert new levels of energy. So I said, Bishla, if you told me you're going to be in Kollel 10 years, okay, you want to take your time, learn a little less, no problem. But you tell me you're going to work, you got to learn double as hard, you know? You can't sleep in a bed because you're going out to the world. What does that mean? You're facing a world that they have typhus moment, typhus nashim, typhus. That's it. And you're a whole 19 years old and you're going to face this whole world of taiva? You got to be built for that. You have to have an attachment to learning. You have to have attachment to praying. You have to know what life, the purpose of life is. Then your business can become a platform to develop your neshama also. Going to work is not the etzem yerida. Most of Klal Yisrael have to end up working at some point or another. It doesn't mean that they failed in their mission of life. But they had to be built to a certain degree that they should be able to face that new stage of Avodat Hashem, where but you have to have emunah while you're working. That while you're touching the dollar bill, you still can control your typhus moment. It's a new phase in life. You got to be built for that phase. Then you can grow in that way. That's the idea. Is that clear? Okay. I love you all. Keep steiging. Keep growing. Make us happy.